Hey folks, my name's Brody. I got really into taking pictures of plants, and then from that I got into the study of plants, which is known as botany. And I read a bunch of books, listened to a bunch of podcasts, and yeah, I was originally gonna make this botanical survey into like a video where I sat in front of a green screen and I did that stuff and it was all fun, but the audio got corrupted halfway through, so instead I made a little presentation. So welcome to my Walmart botanical survey presentation. If you'd like to see the actual survey, it's in a Google Doc in the description. So, first things first, what is a botanical survey? A botanical survey is when you go around and you pick a specific study area, say a plot of land that someone's about to mow over, or just a forest, and you go through and you spot all the different species that are there and all the specific plants there, and you decide to figure out if there's anything that has to be done with the environment. And in this case, that involved me walking around a Walmart parking lot for about 2 hours and taking pictures of every plant I saw. So, yeah. This is the Walmart at Manville, New Jersey. Um, you can see that inside there was some onions, some grass, and the bathrooms had no plants in them. So outside of the Walmart, though, we've divvied up the areas into five specific locations. We've got the curb, the actual parking lot, a drain basin off to the side, the railroad that used to run through, and in the back we've got a dumpster. Yeah. Alrighty, moving on to the actual plants of the survey. First things first, we've got Japanese holly, but how do we know? How do we know that that's what we're looking at? Lucky for us, we have technology such as the app iNaturalist, which uses photo recognition software. Specifically, through photo recognition, it identifies this as part of the holly family or the ilex family, and it gives us a bunch of plants that it thinks it might be. Usually, this app is very consistent and works really well for a lot of stuff, especially if you get a good photo, but not all the time. And you'll see what happens when it doesn't work. But specifically, the plants that it thinks it might be, we've got Euonymus japonicus, and I probably butchered that, and that's why I'm not going to pronounce any other names. We've also got this one, and that one, and this one. Specifically about them, Ilex crenata, oh, I lied, whatever. Ilex crenata is the most similar to our current plant, but how do we really know? The answer, I don't. But if you look at both of them, we're pretty close. And I don't want to say that I'm going to bring out a stethoscope or a microscope and look through the DNA or RNA of the plant. So until that happens, I'm going to say they're pretty similar. So this is Japanese holly. This is a cultivated plant and it's not native, meaning that it is not historically from the area. It was brought over from Eastern Asia, specifically by groundskeepers, just to make it, look pretty or something like that. I think it's okay. It's also poisonous, so you can't eat it. And yeah, we're gonna move on to another plant. Whoa, what are we looking at here? Let's ask iNaturalists, and they have no idea. Like really, they have no idea. It's given me a ton of different plants. It's got no clue. It is actually none of them. So I identified that this was none of those plants, and I did what any sane person would do, and I went through the entirety of all native plants known to be in the New Jersey area, and I looked for any possible match. And after going through like 40 different species and just, cross-referencing and looking at things, I present to you Ruscapulinum, or the shining sumac. It's a baby, so it's not completely certain, but look at that. This is shining sumac. It is a native plant. It's also poisonous. And yeah, moving on to the first actual area of the study, we have the curb, which includes the sidewalk on the entrance and around the corner of the building. A lot of the plants found in this area were inside of flower boxes and in cracks in the sidewalk. The most prevalent plant that was definitely intentionally placed there by groundskeepers is this flaky juniper, which is an edible bush that is native to China. And my only guess as to why they planted this is because it's blue and Walmart is blue. So, I don't know, props to them. That's some good color theory right there. It matches. But inside of this plant, we have a bunch of other different species that are growing around inside the flower box. One of which being this garlic mustard, which, yeah, this is part of what some mustard is made out of. It's a flowering species that is native to Europe and Asia. It is also edible and nutritious. It is also part of the family Brassicaceae, which is defined as economically important. And if you think defining a species family as economically important helps you to identify them, it doesn't. It basically means nothing. The one thing that I do know while going down the rabbit hole of figuring out what this family's deal is that you can make wine out of the majority of it, which means that you can make wine out of mustard, turnips, and cabbage. And I just thought that was wild. Also growing in the flower boxes is the greater plantain or Plantago major, which is native to Europe and Asia and is an edible stalk plant. It is known as the white man's footprint because historical victims of colonialization, I failed to say that like 20 times, but colonialization victims would find this plant only after being invaded and colonized by European forces. While talking to a friend of mine, he brought up a bunch of pictures of this and said, "Can you tell me what plant this is?" And I could not tell him. So I'm just going to say plant IDing is hard. But yeah, this was not cultivated. It's a very invasive species and can grow from windborne and other forms of spreading. Gremia dry rock moss is also something I found here. It is native to everywhere as it predates humans, and it is a form of moss. It is not edible and it was not cultivated. I found this along the walls of the building. Also, in area one was this golf ball, I think. I don't know. It was embedded inside of the sidewalk, and I thought it was interesting, and I'm going to share it with you. Look at this golf ball I found. Also, within area one, inside of the flower boxes, was a spotted spurge. This thing is not edible, but it is native to New Jersey and it grows actually everywhere. If you're anywhere in the northeast of the US, I recommend you go out to like a driveway or a sidewalk. You will find this within 5 minutes. It grows everywhere. Within the flower boxes as well is this species called goosegrass or Eleusine indica. It is a species of grass that is spread very heavily by Canadian geese, which, if you don't know, are also invasive to the entirety of the US. They're just all around mainly because they thrive in parking lots and they thrive off of eating just random grasses. This seed is technically edible and can be used in a flour. It was used for a while by very poor citizens, and it was definitely not intentionally there. You can just sort of see it grows out of nothing. Moving on to area two, or the parking lot, we have I can't pronounce this, but Platycladus orientalis is its specific name. Arbor means tree, in case you didn't know, but this is a non-edible species of bush native to Eastern Asia. It was definitely planted here by groundskeepers, because look at that thing. And yeah, another species found here was water purslane, which was a semi-aquatic plant found all over Europe until it was brought over. It is edible, but I'm not completely confident that that's what I'm looking at. If you look at the photo, I'm not really sure what that is. It looks like it's water purslane, but it could be anything. Also found within cracks within the pavement of the parking lot is smooth crabgrass, which is an edible species of grass native to Europe and Asia. It's incredibly invasive, and you may find this thing also all over in the entirety of the world. This thing grows all around. It's part of the Poaceae family, which is the grass family, and grass is maybe one of the biggest plants on the market because everybody loves their lawns. Also found within the parking lot was this cool little doodad. I don't know. I thought it was pretty pretty. The silver maple was also found in area 2. It is a species of maple tree that is found all around North America. So this is a cultivated native species, which is very cool to see. But not all of them were cultivated. There were some seeds growing around in area 4 as well that were wind blown. So nature's healing. And yeah, you read that right. You can make maple syrup out of this. If you go to and you give it a tap, you could have Walmart maple syrup without even entering the building. We also have sugar maple, which I'm going to reiterate it. It's a different species of maple, but it also lets you make maple syrup. I really want to have that. I don't know what else to say. But this is another cultivated native species, which is really great to see. Love to see groundskeepers keeping the actual native wildlife alive. And another character that we are not going to go completely into because it was spoken about earlier, but this is spotted spurge, which was found all around the parking lot in various places. All right, and in area 3, we've got a drainage ditch. The ditch itself was surrounded by a fence. These are stock photos I found within the internet. They're definitely not of the locations, but it gives you a good idea of what this was surrounding. But outside of the fence was some interesting species that we're going to go over now. White mulberry. This was definitely something that was cultivated. There was a whole bush of this stuff. It was growing all over. It was definitely intentional. I mean, just look at the leaves. I can imagine why you'd want this in a parking lot. It's a non-native species from northern China, but it is edible. It can be used in tea and other types of brews. Also growing was a princess tree, which is an invasive, highly invasive species. Despite having a cool name, it is windswept and it grows all over the world. It is super invasive and super bad, even though it is really pretty. If you see a fully grown princess tree, they're kind of gorgeous, but also highly invasive. Also, yeah, yeah, your eyes are not deceiving you, folks. I found black cherry, like the soda, black cherry, guys. Black cherry in the Walmart parking lot. I didn't even have to go into the beverage section. Look at that. It's also native to North America and it's highly edible. Maybe someone spilled their soda. That doesn't make sense, but that's what this is. This is black cherry. Very interesting. Japanese spirea. This was the majority of what was growing in Area 3. Definitely just a lot of this. You can see the bushes sort of stretch back there. This thing is just all over. It's a non-native flowering species native to Eastern Asia and Japan. It is edible, but like everything that says edible, that doesn't mean I would eat it. I wouldn't eat this personally, but it's up to you. American elm. This was not cultivated. I don't know where this came from, but it's growing pretty strong. Maybe we'll have like a cool tree grow out of it. I don't know. But yeah, elm is also edible, but I wouldn't really eat it. It's a tree. I I wouldn't eat the tree, but that's up to you. Yeah, just like in every other area, we have the spotted spurge showing up again. This thing is everywhere. It's in my driveway. I don't know about you. Here we are at, in my opinion, the most interesting study area being Area 4, the railroad. The reason that it is the most interesting is that it's just sort of been ignored. A lot of this stuff, it's in a parking lot, so stuff gets driven over, dirt gets kicked over. Back here, nobody cares. And so a lot of this stuff has just been allowed to fester and grow, and biodiversity is just through the roof compared to the rest of a Walmart parking lot. This is the holy grail. So yeah, we're gonna go into it. We've got spotted knapweed, which is an edible species of flowering plant native to Europe and Asia. You can see it's part of the Asteraceae family. Asteraceae is the daisy family. A lot of their flowers are pretty, and I honestly I saw this and I was like, oh my god, a purple flower, pretty. And yeah, we've also got horseweed, which is also belonging to the Asteraceae family. I did not get in while it was flowering completely, but you can see some of the buds that are still sitting around. It was edible and used in potions. It hailed from Central North America, but spread out after that, so it's technically not native either, even though it comes from North America. There's also prickly let. Sorry, I have to elaborate. This thing was used in potions. Like here, this is the plant. This is horseweed. It was told to cure dysentery, combat fevers, and help with diarrhea. The pilgrims that first arrived in the central, this is just not accurate. That's not true. But you'd get the idea. They were like, oh my god, we need that. And so through trade, it spread across to every continent on the planet and is highly invasive throughout the entirety of the world. So go North America, we're fighting back. Um, but yeah, this is horseweed. Just know if you've got a plant and people think that it is magic, it's going to suddenly be all over the planet. And that's the story of horseweed. We've also got prickly lettuce, which is also belong to the Asteraceae family. You can see it's kind of out of focus, but it is flowering. That looks very daisy. And it is edible. I mean, it's got the word lettuce in the name, folks. I think it's edible. And it was not cultivated. None of this stuff seemed cultivated or intentional. I think most of it was wind blown. Yeah, we've also got eastern red cedar, which is an edible species of coniferous tree. And if you don't know what coniferous means, it's a year-long evergreen tree that grows cones. And they don't grow cones for the first few years of their life because they're focusing on actually growing. And this is clearly a baby because it has a lack of any cones at all. But yeah, this is a native species, and there's nothing else around it. So nature's healing, guys. Nature's healing. We're winning. Look at this. Look at this baby shrub that just grew out of nothing. We also have a pine oak or pin oak, which is an edible species of oak native to North America. It looks like it's cultivated. You can see the mulch around it, but it might have been here. It might have predated the Walmart, which is kind of sad. Imagine like all of your tree friends dying, but you just watch a Walmart pop up next to you and you're just hanging out. But yeah, we also have purple love grass, which is an edible species of dense grass. It is also native to America, but definitely further south, not part of the New Jersey ecosystem. And poverty dropseed. The seeds of this are known to be edible, but they're highly annoying to actually gather. But it's called poverty dropseed because it is grown in disturbed areas. And historically, you know, if it's all pavement and rubble, that's like a poorer area. But now that's just everywhere. So poverty dropseed is growing on like some rich people's lawns and they don't even know it. And folks, I'm not trying to get you too excited, but I found a tomato plant. Yeah, a tomato plant, guys. It's definitely edible. I'm pretty sure someone on their break was just chomping on a tomato from Walmart and just, spat it out or dropped it halfway and it starts growing. And that's a gosh darn tomato plant. We've also got common mugwort belonging to the Asteraceae family as well. This is an edible species that is. Oh, it's the sunflower family. All right, well, this is out of order, but you get the idea. Definitely not cultivated. This is from Europe and Eastern Asia. And yeah, some other characters that we saw in other areas of the study is goosegrass, spotted spurge again, and I'm not going to pronounce it, guys. I'm not going to pronounce it. And here we are at the final area of the study, that being the garbage. I was walking around, I was like, well, we found some plants, but let's do the whole perimeter. And then I found the garbage, and I was like, oh my god, there's a plant. Let's go check it out. Uh, yeah, walking around, I also found this sign. I don't know. It's Mr. T. That's pretty cool. I don't really know what they're doing. It's probably like a truck driver meme. That's pretty cool. But yeah, guys, we found bittersweet nightshade. This is, maybe the most poisonous plant you could expect to find ever. Just I don't. It's growing in the garbage. I felt like it was using Pokemon game logic where I'm finding poison types near the dump. I don't know what else to say, but I found Nightshade. That's look how pretty it is. It was also soaked in water, sitting by the gutter. Just super interesting. I don't know how this got here in any capacity, but love that. And some other characters that are there was the Shining Sumac, which you may remember all the way from the beginning, and yep, Spotted Spurge, everyone's favorite. Now I want to wrap this up by talking about the two plants that I could not properly identify simply because I don't have enough information about them, either from me not having a microscope or me not taking a photograph that's just, high enough quality for me to confirm. Uh, Both of these were in Area 1, but this is an unknown species of algae I found on some plastic. Uh, it's algae. Like, could you tell me what that is? Maybe it's like seven types. Do you think the colors mean anything? I don't. I know about lichens, but I don't really know too much about algae. But yeah, I think you can lick it, but also you're probably licking like plastic in a Walmart parking lot, so don't do that. But yeah, algae is sort of pretty much always not native because algae is kind of always all around the planet. There's not too many different species of algae that just sort of are only in one area, unless you count ones that are only inside of specific species. But this is on plastic, and plastic is all over the planet. We've also got an unknown species of knotweed. I can tell it's knotweed due to how it grows inside of the juniper. And yeah, the picture isn't too good, and I'm not about to drive all the way out to Manville just to go find what this plant is. I'm gonna say don't eat it simply because some species of knotweed are incredibly poisonous. Yeah, you've reached the end. Thank you so much. But we've got a conclusion to come to. In my opinion, I think plants are cool and plants grow everywhere, and I just think that's really nice. But let's go through some of the data. Let's go through the hard facts. Boom. 26% of this is native. That is incredibly depressing because native species allow for more biodiversity and room for just interesting life to grow within specific areas. And the fact that only 26% of the plants here are native means that a lot of it is going to be monoculture and not really meshing together. None of these plants interact in interesting ways outside of growing inside of each other. And they're not really even growing inside each other, they're just growing inside of the mulch that they share. The percent that is cultivated here is 25%. This is interesting in the fact that it just means that like the people aren't really keeping too good quote unquote care of the grounds here. They're just sort of letting weeds grow. And it's cool for me, but like I don't know, maybe like if you care, it doesn't look too good. I don't know. The percent of the cultivated natives is 50%. This is not perfect. We would like it to be higher because that'd be super, super cool of them. But also, it's better than what is sort of just existing. So that's actually pretty cool. Good on whoever cultivates the plants inside of Walmart parking lots. Go them. And then the percent that was edible was 78%, but the percent that I would eat was 39.2. This is just funny. I think it's interesting, and I'm not going to tell you which ones I would and wouldn't eat, but d- uh, I still think about making maple syrup. I'm going to be real with you. Takeaways. Nature is super beautiful, even in parking lots, and I think that some people might think it was crazy for me to walk around for 2 hours in a parking lot, but I'm not like it's entertaining, and I think if you give it, if you give yourself that interest in the world around you, you can find so much. And walking through neighborhoods and walking through towns can be so much more interesting if you try and see what type of flora is around you. And yeah, finally, was this worth it? I Man, I don't know. It kept the void away, you know what I'm saying? Like it kept me from doing awful things. And if that's not a win, I don't really know what is. It kept me busy, gave me something to do. I learned a lot from this. Uh, I don't know. Thanks for watching so much, though. I really hope that you appreciated seeing. Oh, I forgot to say, there's 32 species. There's 32 species of plants in a Walmart parking lot. So if you had any idea how many there were, it's 32. But I think it was worth it because, like, if somebody asked me beforehand, I would have said like I don't know, 12? I would have said there was like 12 species, but I went and I checked it out and there's so much. There's so much life even though there is so much just destruction through habitat removal and through it's a parking lot. Like folks, we I did not expect anything, but alas, we discovered and found so much and I'm really happy about it. So I'm going to say, yeah, this is worth it. Cheers.